In May of 1865, a month after the end of the Civil War, Frederick Douglass said, "Slavery is not abolished until the black man has the ballot." In 1870, Congress passed the 15th Amendment. Now that guaranteed, quote, "The right of citizens of the United States to vote shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or by any state on account of race, color, or previous condition of servitude," end quote. But southern states still found ways to circumvent the Constitution and prevent blacks from voting. They were hit with poll taxes, literacy tests, fraud, and intimidation. The grandfather clause, now that's the clause still in effect up until 1915, that said you could not vote unless your grandfather had voted, which of course was an impossibility for most people whose ancestors were, wait for it, slaves. Southern states threw everything at African Americans in order to keep them away from the polls. Until the Supreme Court struck it down in 1915, many states used to keep descendants of slaves out of elections. For decades, brave men and women protested, shouted, marched, got arrested, and even died working toward voting equality for all Americans. And here we are in 2020. And brave men and women are still protesting, shouting, marching, getting arrested, and even dying because all Americans still do not have voting equality.
Know your voting rights.
Know your voting rights.
Know your voting rights.
Remember, each state has its own deadline for registering to vote, from 30 days before to the day of Election Day. So, if you still haven't registered yet, check the rules of your state to see if you still have time to do so. All active registered voters in all 50 states can request an absentee ballot. Request yours as soon as possible so that you have plenty of time to fill it out and return it. Read the instructions on your ballot very, very carefully. There are some important things that you have to do to make sure that it's counted. Check whether you should use a pen or a pencil. Some ballots have specific requirements. Also, make sure your ballot is signed in the right place. Follow any instructions that require getting your ballot notarized or signed by a witness. If this is your first time voting by mail, you may need to take a few extra steps. And be aware of deadlines. Check the instructions or ask your local election authorities for help. Don't take any chances. Mail your ballot back at least a week before it needs to be received, or check with your local election authority to see if you can return it in person. For more information, or if you need help preparing for the 2020 U.S. election, I've provided links to the Center for Voting Information, vote.org, and the U.S. Election Assistance Commission, or EAC.
Your vote is important.
Your vote is important.
Your vote is important.
Hey, this is important. Exercise your right as an American citizen and vote. This has been an African American History is American History special, Voting Rights. Thanks to our voice actors, in order of appearance, Soraya Butler, Jeffrey Schubert, and Crystal Williamson. I'm Harlan Kearsley, and on behalf of everyone here at African American History is American History, thank you for listening. And if you haven't done so, please subscribe. It's free, and once you do, you'll be notified as soon as new episodes are posted. Thanks again. Stay safe, and don't forget to vote. African American history is American history. Copyright H.C. Kearsley, 2020.